Welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 450 episodes of Hump Day Hangouts. Today is the 28th of June, 2023, last episode of June, but looking forward to things in the future. We got a lot of good stuff going on. We got a couple of announcements to make, and then we will get into your questions. First, come on and take a second and say hello to the guys. So Chris, how you doing today?
Good. Enjoying the heat in Austria.
Yeah, what's it looking like Celsius? Is it like 35 or 4? I guess probably not.
It's still in the 30s now. Like, it's not as bad as 34 like last week, but it's good.
Yeah, for the people I know I've got family in Texas and Oklahoma. I think it was 110 down there or something. I was talking to a client outside of Dallas. It was just like, oh my God, that is brutal. So anyways, glad I'm not dealing with that. We've just had thunderstorms. Stuff moving through. So if we disappear, I don't know, Bradley, are you having thunderstorms in Virginia? Is that what's
No, I don't know. I think we're just having cable company issues. I don't see any storms.
But summertime construction is what happens around here. We lost power for 5 hours because a transformer caught fire and they shut off half the town's power last night. So it is what it is. Anyways, Bradley, how you doing?
Good. Busy dealing with internet issues today. It sucks. Been really difficult. And then I've also got some really strange issue going on with a website that I cloned using Cloudways. I use Cloudways hosting for like test stuff. But anyway, I cloned a site and I've done this 5 or 6 times and never had any issues. But I got a site that I've done all the editing in the editor. And if I'm viewing it in preview mode, it shows all the edits. But if I go view it in any other browser, it's still the original clone site. And I've cleared all cache. I've done everything. I can't figure it out. It's driving me nuts because I spent like 4 hours on that today on this one fucking site. And no matter what I do, it won't show any of the edits on the public facing side of the site. I've never seen this happen before. So it's one of them kind of frustrating days, man.
Yeah.
I want to bang my head on the wall.
Working with you. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, we were going to have a special guest today.
He's still coming in right now, actually.
Hey, look at that. Perfect timing. Bradley, I'll let you take it over and take it from here then.
All right. Give me one second.
Well, he's coming in. I just wanted to say we will end up talking about the mastermind a little bit, but if you are interested in joining the mastermind, taking your local SEO agency or consulting to the next level, being around peers who are doing the same, then check it out at mastermind.semanticmastery.com, and I will post that on the page. Cool. Patrick, you there?
Yo, hey guys, how's it going?
What's up, buddy?
Good.
How are you, man?
Good. Yeah, doing well, man. Sorry, it's back-to-back webinars, so
I know how that goes.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, I gotta go.
Well, right on, man. Well, thanks for taking the time right after another webinar to come join us to guest host today. So everybody, this is Patrick Shannon from LeadSnap. We brought him on today because, well, number one, he's awesome, but number two, he's got something that he would like to kind of talk about a little bit and just guest host. I thought it would be nice to have him come on. And by the way, just so you know, Patrick, this is episode 450. So wow. It's kind of a nice round number. So
yeah,
just coincidence that you came in on this one.
I would much prefer to be 450 rather than 449 or 451. So
there we go.
Well,
it worked out then.
Awesome. So yeah, we've had some really cool features come out, Bradley. I don't think we've really talked about what we've done and since the last time we really hung out at I think at SEO at the beach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we've added some cool stuff to LeadSnap. We have some new cool stuff coming out. We just are kind of pushing out our event. So prior to the week before SEO at the beach, I had my own event in South Florida in Miami. And, I think there were like 3 or 4 people that were at my event that had no idea that SEO at the beach was a thing or going on. And I said, hey, we're going to be there next weekend. And they bought tickets and they came and hung out at the event, which was awesome to have them there. But we're trying to do it 3 times a year because for me, I love that infusion of energy. And I come out of those events with a lot of momentum. And I'm like, well, why do I have to do it like once a year, right? Why not do it a few times a year? Bring in different speakers. Let's check base. We kind of have it be, every few months. So you can almost set your goals and say, hey, what do I want to happen by this next event? What am I committed to? And then what's the game plan to work through that? So that's part of what we're going to be doing at the event. But yeah, we we rented out a mansion. Did I tell you about this, Bradley? I think I told you about the last one, man.
Yeah. And I believe it's in Florida, right?
It's in Orlando. We did
Okay.
the first one in Miami. This one's in Orlando because turns out there's a lot of traffic in Miami, and it just created like a lot of coordination issues. And we're doing an event in July. So we figured, hey, let's take it up a little bit further north. Miami gets really hot in the summer. I'm sure Orlando will be warm, but you know what? We have there's a lazy river in the back of this pool, in the back of this mansion that goes around. It actually goes around a two-sided theater. So there's like a theater on both sides.
Oh, that's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. Also in this mansion is there's a bowling alley inside the mansion and
Nice.
laser tag. Laser tag is like built into the mansion, which is like, I went and met the owner because I'm like, hey, I want to make sure I want to get eyes on this place before we book it. And this guy was like a big kid. He was an adult, but he was like, I mean, this guy was just like, had that, he wants games in his house. He wants people to have fun and have adventures when they come. So I think we're going to have about 75 people there. We've got some,
Wow.
yeah, we've got some really high level speakers coming. I'll actually share this 1 second. Let me share my screen. What did I do with that? All right, let me share
Yeah,
this.
I would love to join you, man, but I can't. I got too many other things already scheduled in July. So,
What do you got going on, Bradley?
well, I got a week. My father passed away earlier this year, so I've got a week where my family's all getting together to kind of hold like a memorial service and stuff. And that's right in the middle of July. So that's kind of really got me screwed up because I got a whole week now. I've got to take off for that. So, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. So,
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like something you'll probably do for the rest of your life, huh? Where you're just going to like continue to celebrate your father, huh?
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's during a normal, like we have a family reunion that kind of week every year. It's the same week, but this year we're going to honor my dad because he was the last of his siblings. So it's anyways, beside the point. I'm unable to make 2 trips in July because my businesses can't handle me being gone that long.
I was about to say Bradley can't go, but that doesn't mean other people can't.
That's
so.
right.
Well, hopefully, Bradley, we'll get you some of the recordings from our event, because I think you're going to want to see some of the sessions that we have there, and then hopefully
Sure.
people that are on this call or in your group would love to come to our events. So basically, what it's going to be is it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we have 2 types of tickets. We have a VIP ticket, which I think there's 1 left. There may also be 0 left. I'm not sure on that. And then we have the general admission tickets. So the VIP, we have some extra sessions. We're taking everyone out to dinner. The entire event, though, while the people are there, we have caterers coming in. So they're catering the food, bringing it in. So Thursday night is like our meet and greet. So we have a bartender at the mansion, and everyone's going to be there. Get to know each other a little bit. Friday and Saturday, we are going to have multiple speaker sessions. So these are kind of our guest speakers, but there's a few other people like myself and one of my other partners on our coaching program, Chris Moore, who isn't shown here. These are kind of our guest speakers. So Friday, Saturday, we have their speakers. Sunday, we have another VIP session in the morning. I think there's a VIP session every day. And then Sunday afternoon, we have a pool party with a DJ and a bartender coming in there. So we've built a pretty amazing community. The group that we have seems to just have gelled together really, really well. And it's the first event. It was really cool. Some business partnerships came out of that. A lot of friendships. Some of these people that have been kind of like bouncing around on their own for a long time have expressed like, hey, now I feel like I have a group of like-minded friends that are in there. I'll tell you, for me, masterminds have made a tremendous impact on me. I joined my first coaching program in like 2016, and I think it was like $3,000 or $4,000, and I was so scared. I was like, man, where is this? Am I ever going to see this money again? But if I didn't see it, I was like, well, I'm not going to be like destitute if this doesn't work out. But, through that, I formed some friendships, and a lot of those friendships I still have. And those people have helped me in so many different ways along my journey, and now I've gone from mastermind to mastermind, sometimes spending $25,000, $30,000 on like a 6-month mastermind. But my goal is to get myself in rooms that are filled up with super successful people and hear what they're doing, and this one right here, this guy on the left, I don't know. Bradley, have you heard of Chris Evans? Do you know who this is?
Yeah. Well, you told me about him at SEO at the beach.
Yeah. This is not the guy that I'm partners with. So,
okay. I thought that was, I'm sorry. So that must be a different dude.
Also a different guy named Chris. So Chris Evans is, when he gave me his, so I have a partner named Chris Moore, and Chris Moore is the guy. He's a partner in one of the biggest business acquisition companies in the world. And, why is that important for us? Well, if we're creating a lot of business and a lot of marketing and we're really moving the dial for our clients, is there an opportunity for us to take equity and potentially acquire a business? Well, Chris Moore helps out with that. Between him and his partner, they've done several thousand businesses. Chris owns 16 different businesses right now. So he's got 3 Inc. 5000 for like the simultaneously, like right now, like the fastest growing privately held companies in the United States. He's in the top 5,000 for 3 of his current companies. So that's one of our partners. That's one of the guys that was speaking. I met Chris Moore at Taylor Welsh's, and this guy, Chris Evans, they have a mastermind that is called Traffic and Funnels. So I was not happy with that mastermind personally. The coaching, I tried to reach out for resources, and I was frustrated with the response. That being said, the 2 people who teach it, Taylor Welsh and Chris Evans, are 2 of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life. You can see down here, Chris said after burnout and misalignment, they closed shop on Traffic and Funnels. And honestly, I joined Traffic and Funnels because of Taylor Welsh. I've been listening to his podcast. It's just like, well, no, Taylor is, he's just one of the brightest people you'll ever meet. Well, the first day I go, and Chris Evans is up there speaking on stage. And within, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, Bradley, but within like 2 minutes of this guy talking, I'm like, this might be the smartest man I've ever seen. It was just like the way he was talking, the way he was framing things. He's super humble, which was frustrating because he wrote this, and it's like, there's so much more he could have said about himself, but he kind of like holds it back. I think that this right here, he started and scaled multiple 7- and 8-figure businesses. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think there was like 7 or 8 7-figure businesses that he was running simultaneously. One of the big things that he mentioned was that peace and happiness are a constraint. He doesn't spend a lot of time on his businesses, right? Like you, and largely me too, is like, hey, I can't be away from my business that long. Well, this guy teaches us how we can, right? Peace and happiness are a constraint. That's a requirement for any business that he runs. And I realized, despite him like holding strong on that ground and saying like, this is how it has to be no matter what, he has this, he had multiple 8-figure businesses. And I think it was like 7 or 8 7-figure businesses at the same time. Between him and Taylor, I think they have like 4,000 houses in the Atlanta area that they own. So he has done it through marketing and scaling businesses. And it's just, I would not be connected with this guy without he's connected with Chris Moore. This guy is like maybe beyond what I would be able to afford for the event had I not known Chris Moore. So this guy's going to come in. It's probably going to hang out for one day, and he's going to share his wisdom. So really excited to have Chris Evans there. He's a rock star. This guy here, Monic. So at the, Bradley, the Traffic and Conversion Summit in San Diego, it's this huge digital marketing thing. Yeah. So for LeadSnap last year in September, I got a booth right at the event, and this guy who I didn't know at the time, Monic, he had a booth, and we as a booth owner, what you want to do is you want to go and try to like, it's great to try to have the consumers and there's people with big agencies that are there, but as the booth owner, it's like these other potential strategic partnerships could send thousands of users to us with like one swoop because we're marketing the same audience, but we're not competing. So Monik has built a product that competes with, he owns a marketing agency, very successful marketing agency. I think they're doing $6 or $7 million a year. In addition, he owns a SaaS platform. So just like me, we both own marketing agencies. We both own SaaS platforms. We were both at that event in San Diego, and it turns out we both live in Jupiter, Florida. So we became like fast friends, and we both like golf, and then we started talking about boating. I was telling Monik, I'm like, yeah, man, I'm looking at this boat. So Monik and I went back and forth, and we were talking about buying a yacht so that we could share it and probably put it on this like essentially Airbnb version for yachts. Well, Monik decided, hey, I don't know if I want to put my first one on this like Airbnb thing. I really want it to be just for like fun. So he went ahead and he just bought a yacht on his own. But he did say, hey, Patrick, I'm picking up this yacht in Marco Island, and I'd love to have you join me. And we're going to take it down through the Florida Keys. We're going to drive it through the Florida Keys, up the other side of the Florida Keys into Miami, and we're going to dock there. Would you join me? And I'm like, well, yes, I will jump on this grenade for you, and I will spend a few days cruising on a yacht through the Florida Keys, right? Like,
woe is me.
Yes. Yeah, he owes me one. So we've become fast friends, and it's been amazing because Monik is one of the most brilliant SEO people that I've ever met in my life. He doesn't do local SEO. He does national SEO. And he built this tool that competes with SEMrush or SEMrush and Ahrefs because he was at a disadvantage when he was trying to compete nationally. And he's built a lot of cool things into his tool that Ahrefs and SEMrush don't have, that he doesn't really like to necessarily like advertise, but it's like, hey, understanding how the search algorithms work, there are certain things that would be great if they were automated. And he's got some of this stuff that I've never seen. I'm not talking about like strictly like CTR type stuff. He's got some stuff in there that I've never seen anywhere else. So we've gotten into some really deep SEO conversations. And so Bradley, last week I went to Ohio, where I'm from, and we had this like little college reunion type thing. And there was like 15 of my friends that I hadn't seen in maybe 20 years. And Monik and I were talking about it. Monik's like, so where did you go to college? And I was like, oh, I went to the University of Cincinnati. He's like, oh, actually, they're one of my clients, University of Cincinnati. So these are the type of clients that he works with. You can see he works with, he's got 10 years. He's works with a lot of Fortune 500 companies. He's won awards, like national SEO type awards. He's got Inc. 5000 awards. Just absolutely brilliant SEO mind. And he's very, very data driven, right? So he's running tests on things that are beyond what we would see a lot for a local. He's got data. I think he's got more than 1 billion records in some of his databases from the tests that he's running, where he's automated things. He also, I don't know, Bradley, you've ever been to like one of those like concerts or games, or you're looking at your ticket and you see the how the view looks from your seat, even that, like when you're purchasing the ticket, you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Oh, so if you go to like Ticketmaster now or StubHub or some of these, you have this ability to
see what your view looks like.
Yeah, and you'll be able to see that view. So Monik actually created that technology and did an exit and sold it out to like Ticketmaster and StubHub. He was trying to compete with them for tickets from like an SEO standpoint, and their budgets were just like he just couldn't keep up. So he kind of took a different angle and created some technology that would give him an advantage that they didn't have. So he built that. He wrote software for drones to be able to read the rows, and then other ones where they couldn't get it to work quite right, they would go in there with cameras. He created this technology, and then he did a big exit with them. So a brilliant mind that has been focused solely on SEO for about the last decade or so, and ton of experience. He's been in like Forbes and all kinds of stuff like this, where they've interviewed them, and he's created those relationships with them. So he's going to be there, I think, the entire weekend with us, hanging out, and just an awesome guy to hang out with. Great stories on stuff, and tons of, like, you peel back the onion on this guy, and it's just like, okay, what about this SEO situation? He's like, well, I think that comes down to 7 things. He's like, bam, 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 bam. It's like, that's how your brain works. It's so really feel grateful to have Monik joining us, and then finally Marcel. I think I mentioned this to you at the event at SEO at the Beach. Marcel, I have a coach, Dan Martell. He wrote the book Buy Back Your Time. So Buy Back Your Time has been #2 on the business bestseller list, I think, pretty much since it came out. I think he sold 25,000 copies his first week. So Marcel is his head coach. So they've been working side by side for 6 or 7 years. Marcel is the CEO and founder of Parakeeto. So this company helps your operations, and like specifically with like marketing agencies. So helping your operations and kind of like streamlining finances. But he's been working as Dan Martell's kind of like #2 guy for 6 or 7 years. And for me, Dan Martell is, he's like the pinnacle of efficiency and, just being exposed to that mind on a daily basis for a long time. He's been on all kinds of stuff. He's been on big podcasts. He's interviewed some of the best people that are in the industry. So amazing guy. He's going to be joining us as well. So the 3 of those. We're also working on a 4th guy. I haven't got a commitment from this guy yet. He had other plans. I showed him what we were doing. We've already partnered with LeadSnap. So you've probably seen.
Can you shoot me the link for this event so I can put it in chat for everybody?
Let me do that. So this is the link to the speaker profiles here. But the next guy, I don't know where the chat went. Oh, here it is. So the next guy here, I'm not going to share his name yet, but
and also Patrick, I don't mean to cut you off, man, but we do have like questions we have to answer for our members. So I just want to, ask if you can, make sure that we have enough time to do that. That's all. So I didn't mean to cut you off, man.
No, you're all good, man. I probably got like another few more minutes here on the event, and then
No worries.
Any of this, and I'm sorry I'm a bit long-winded with this. I've been in webinar mode.
No worries, man.
Trying to get a lot of information out in a hurry, So maybe you guys have seen the where you can book online for like restaurants, that little button that shows up, right? And that button, I think it shows up for like hair salons, but it doesn't show up for like Bradley, you're in like tree service, right?
Correct.
You don't have that button never shows up to be able to book online for your tree service person. No. Well, a company that LeadSnap has partnered with, they have essentially exclusive rights for the next year. So they're a company that got a lot of VC funding, and they've worked for a long time to create this partnership with Google. And I don't mean like the stupid, like bullshit partnership where like people call you up and like, hey, I'm a Google trusted partner. And they're just like, who knows, some company from India. These guys are actually like real Google partners. So for the next 12 months, they are the only company in the world that can turn on that book online button for local service providers.
Wow.
And the guy who owns this company that created this relationship has become a friend of mine, and he's a partner with LeadSnap. So as you book online, that lead goes right into LeadSnap. And so I think he'll be joining us at the event. So between their company and Google, they estimate that this is going to increase conversions by 30 to 40%. So think about what that means for your Google My Business to have that type of conversion increase. So you're not ranking for anything more, but for every 10 people that you get that impression for, 3 or 4 of them that would potentially be booking your service, which as in the local SEO game, that's is huge. A massive number. Yeah. That's a huge number. So that guy will be potentially joining us. I'm excited I think he's going to let us know here in the next 24 hours. He's trying to move some things around. So that's the event, Bradley. You got any questions or anything about that? No,
I guess the schedule and all that is on the sales page. So no, I mean, it sounds great. And I like how you do several times a year, because that's like an accountability, like a way to hold yourself accountable, right? If for people that show up multiple times, like you said, set goals and I'm going to accomplish this by the next time. You know what I mean? So that's one of those things where you announce that to other people, and that forces you to be accountable to others. That's a pretty good idea.
I mean, that's what it's been to me with different events that I'm a part of, and I go to them and I'm seeing the same people, and I'm like, hey, what are you going to try to accomplish before we see you next? And where are we? So this is kind of our schedule here. So Thursday we have the VIP training, and then we have the meet and greet at the mansion. And then Friday, we've got VIP breakfast, and then the 9 to 5 mastermind. And, we're, like I said, we're catering the lunch. And then Saturday, we've got another VIP session, VIP breakfast. And then we have the mastermind all day. And then we have a VIP dinner. So I'm going to take everyone out to eat at a nice restaurant. Sunday morning, another VIP breakfast and VIP session. And then we have the pool party 2:30 to 7 with an open bar and a DJ. So it's best to fly into, so this is actually in Davenport. So it's a little bit south of Orlando. But yeah, best to fly into Orlando. So that's kind of the schedule. I put that link in there as well. So these are some of the testimonials, some of the experiences that the people at the last event, they love to share on some of you guys might recognize.
And yeah, I recognize some of those names or people there, excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So that's the event, man. I'm excited. I wish you could join us, Bradley, but I think we're going to do another one in the end of October.
Yeah, well, I might be able to do that one. We've got our live event in September in Boston at the end of September. So
excellent.
Very cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming and sharing that. And like I said, it's Patrick's a good guy. I know for our audience that I got to know him a bit at SEO at the Beach. We met a year prior to that, I believe. But good guy. So anyway, check it out, guys. And yeah, Patrick, I wasn't trying to cut you off, man, but we got pre-posted questions we got to get to, and we got to make sure we do that because that's what we do every week. So I'm going to jump into that. And
yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Let me just copy this link. We actually made a link here. I think that one should work. We got a Bradley link there.
Okay.
There you go.
I already posted one of them, but that's all right. I can take that one too. Copy link.
Cool.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Well, guys, I'm going to jump into questions because I know we have quite a few, about at least 12 or so. I want to try to get through these before we run out of time. So let me grab the screen for a minute. And I will ask you guys to comment in.
Good to go.
Give me your opinion whenever I get to it. So the first one is from Mike. It says, what are 2 or 3 methods? This would be interesting to hear Patrick's take on this too, because I think one of them he's going to have is going to be similar to mine, if not the same. What are 2 or 3 methods you would use to prospect for clients if you were starting over? I want to create a pipeline, but as a one-man operation with some part-time VAs, I can't dedicate someone to it, but I know I need to do it, and I probably want to have more than one source of leads. So as I've talked about dozens and dozens and dozens of times on this Hump Day Hangouts and anyone that'll listen, the most successful method for me, for my agency, has been creating a niche specific directory in my targeted industry. And then using the directory for outbound prospecting, not as a marketer, not as a salesperson, not as an SEO, but as a support technician with the directory to confirm the contact information for their free listing on the directory. And so essentially we do cold outbound outreach using the directory, just asking them to confirm their information or correct inaccurate information. And when I get a reply back from that, from the cold email outreach, then I know I've got that. It automatically goes into a sales pipeline, and we start the warming sequence, the nurturing sequence, and all of that. And so we start to warm that prospect up now that we have an actual contact with them. So that for me has been the most successful prospecting and sales kind of tool or mechanism that I've had in my entire career of doing SEO, is niching down into a specific industry and then building a directory and doing outbound prospecting. And what happened for me was, after about a year of doing outbound prospecting, all of a sudden my directory site ranked #1 in Google. It's still there today. It's been there for almost 2 years, a year and a half at least, for tree service directory. And so now I get inbound leads. I don't even do any outbound prospecting anymore because we get inbound leads every week from tree service contractors that want to get listed in the directory. They self-submit their listing, and then they go into our sales pipeline and they start getting warmed up through the nurture sequence. So for me, that has been the best method, is just creating the niche specific directory, doing outbound prospecting until I got enough traction with the directory for it to rank. And now it produces inbound. Now, the only reason I'm not still also doing outbound prospecting is because it's not my primary business that I'm trying to grow. So we just grow that as leads come in. I'm not actively trying to grow that agency right now. So if I was, I would continue doing outbound prospecting. When I was doing outbound prospecting with it, cold emailing was all I did. There's options to do voicemail drops and SMS, although it's getting much harder to do that. So there's a lot of different options to generate leads with that method besides cold email. I only chose cold email because tree guys, typically they're not very tech savvy. And so therefore, but most of the time, just cold email was the best way to do it. And, but when I was doing outbound emailing, I was doing 40 emails per day, 5 days a week. That was my schedule. And it was automated through High Level was what I use. Sorry, Patrick. And anyway, the point is that was 200 emails per week. And out of that, I was getting consistently 6 replies every day, 6 replies every single day to the cold outreach. So we were processing 30 leads per week. And that was consistently, we did that for months. And I was really able to grow my agency. So for me, that is hands down the best way to do it because you can automate most of it once you build the system. What is your take on that? Oh, and real quick, one last thing I want to mention in the process, and this is where I was saying Patrick probably has a similar approach, at least to one, part of it is in our kind of nurturing or warm up sequence after we got contact, we've confirmed that we have, direct contact with the business owner, or at least somebody within the company. We will send out a video email. So video email has been one of my best ways to generate a call from that warm lead. Like, in other words, once we confirm that we have direct contact with somebody at the company or the owner, and for tree guys, it's most of the time it's the owner, like 90% of the time it's the owner that replies. Then they go into the nurture sequence and the warm-up sequence. And part of that is we create a local search grid report showing that their Google business profile basically is not performing well in their local area, and then record a screencast video about that, showing them essentially like, hey, thanks for confirming your information for the directory. Here's what your directory page looks like. Let us know if anything needs to be changed. Oh, and by the way, something else that we do for contractors that reply is we run what's called a local search grid report to show you how your Google business profile is performing or not performing in your local area for people looking for your services. Here's what we found. The link to the report is also in the email. That makes sense. And we just show them, say, look, if you want to learn how to get better results and help you to get more exposure and outrank the top ranked competitors so that you're getting the leads, give us a call, schedule a call with me, whatever. And that was my call to action. It was always a soft call to action. Like, hey, look, no harm, no foul, no hard sales pitch. It's just a conversation to see if it makes sense for us to work together. That's my pitch. You guys just heard it. Like, that's exactly what I've done through video email, and do that over and over and over again. And I tell you, I was able to grow my agency faster that way than any other way in 10 years of doing this. So that's my take on it. Patrick, what's yours?
Yeah, I think if you are going to, like, it sounds like by the phrasing of the question, he's really interested in this kind of like pipeline part of it. And the building out a pipeline really makes it seem like it's a machine that's going to be like automated and constantly be full. And no matter what approach you take, I think it's a long-term play by doing something like the directory method. Other strategies along this line, I think, building out, you got your tree care HQ site, right?
Yep.
You need something that establishes that you as an authority in the industry. And it's going to take a while to do that. And it's really where you should go from the beginning. Once you've already decided this is your niche, and I wouldn't jump into a niche and like, don't kind of go nationwide in a niche until you've run around the bases a little bit. Now, the strategy of filling up your pipeline in a more manual way, regardless of what the close is, I think the heat map strategy, using the local search grid, that's the best way to close someone. Yep. Right? It's just like, it elicits this kind of like emotional response from them. Most business owners are competitive when they see how they're ranking compared to a competitor, and then you can justify it with logic and emotion at the same time. You've shifted them into a buyer state. So there's a lot of different ways to build up that pipeline. I think the directory one is fantastic. I haven't done that myself, but building out a marketing site that positions you as the authority can allow you to get other opportunities, like speaking at maybe industry events. You could potentially publish your own book. One of the ways that you can get there faster is I've taught this a lot. And if you go to, like, obviously my company, I own LeadSnap. So we're big on the heat map. The reason that I have the heat map was to try to close people and understand my rankings. So I've taught this like Trojan horse strategy of going into Facebook groups and giving a gift. Imagine that I go into, maybe Bradley has a landscaping or tree services Facebook group, but imagine Bradley's not like an SEO master, but he's just like a normal like tree care person who started a group to try to build a community and help people. And I say, hey, Bradley, man, I appreciate what you've done to help out all these people, and I want to give you a gift. And I put together this video here with some strategies that you can implement. This is your heat map. This is how you're ranking in Raleigh, North Carolina. And here are 5 things that you can do to improve it. And I don't want anything for this, Bradley. I'm just trying to help out because you've helped me out with my business and I want to give something back. That's a part of our mission. So I try to like disassociate myself from being a marketer as much as possible. And I'm just giving this gift to Bradley to teach him some strategies. Well, that video was never really for Bradley. It's for the entire group. And it allows me to have a pattern interrupt and, demonstrate my expertise on like GMBs. And guess what happens? People are like, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? You got to do it in a way where you don't get kicked out of the group. You got to warm the group up, be giving value, maybe be friends with the admin a little bit. But if you do it that way, I've seen people go from, $5,000 or $10,000 a month to $40,000 a month in the course of a month, right? Which is like this other stuff you should still be putting it into play. Those are the long-term ways to fill up your pipeline. This is a more manual way to do it, but you can get quick results this way. And I think it's fantastic. I've coached a lot of people on the strategy, and those that stick with it and get their own spin on it, they've had phenomenal results.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing. You got to be persistent. And I know from our audience that too many people, they start the prospecting machine and they get a few leads in and then they stop prospecting so they can process the leads. And then if they're lucky and they close 1 or 2 clients, then they go into fulfillment mode and they're not constantly filling their pipeline full of leads. And that's why people struggle. And that's why people will bend over backwards and try to keep pain in the ass clients happy because they have to cling on to that little bit of revenue that they're getting from that client. Whereas if you had a pipeline full of leads that were already interested in your services, you could let those pain in the ass clients go, or the ones that, are just an enormous, incredibly difficult projects that have all kinds of problems and things like that. Let them go because you got 5 others behind it that are ready to pay you. That's what, make it up in volume, guys. You have to kind of squeeze the last little bit of juice out of every client when you've only got 5 clients and nothing in the pipeline. But when you've got 50 clients and you've got 150 more, 300 more in the pipeline, then it changes completely the dynamic and what you're able to do with your business and what you prioritize your time on. So that's why I've been trying to teach you guys about getting out of the, custom stuff that you guys have been doing and start productizing services so that you can scale and work on the lower hanging fruit, the projects that are going to be easier. You can't win them all. And that's my point. If you can get results 80% of the time, focus on those 80%. And let the other 20% go. And that's kind of my point. Because, I've been in the boat, guys, where I've tried to, I've had not enough clients and I've had to try to do absolutely everything I could to keep them happy. Even sometimes when there's nothing that you can do to make them happy, if that makes sense. And that sucks. That's no fun. I'm sure some of you can relate.
I'm going to real quick, Bradley, Patrick, I'm going to take the short view and say, I was just checking out the question again while you guys were talking. I think doing both of those will create an avalanche or a landslide long-term. So I'm going to say, if I'm starting over and I need clients fast, like what's the less than 90-day route, I would still recommend, because I still do this after doing it for years, is job boards. It's different. I do email marketing. I'm not going to tell you, here, go here, do this for local SEO. But getting your process down and, spending 5 or 10 minutes doing prospecting until you get it down. And hopefully you have a template within a few days or a week, maybe after the first few jobs, and then having somebody going and doing that for you. Like if you're using Upwork, you can have a team and have somebody be posting or at least sorting through all this stuff and maybe forwarding you the ones that, match your criteria, so that you're not spending an hour or 2 hours prospecting, which is a total waste of time. But you can take this stuff down to like 5 minutes. and get the flywheel going in the short term that way while you're doing this stuff in the background, because that's the stuff that's going to get you, beyond 10K.
Agreed. All right, moving on, because we've only got 20 minutes left. I got a lot of questions to get through. So Eric says, hey guys, in the past, I recall Bradley setting up a custom tree domain he was using as a URL shortener. Yes, it's tchq.link. I'm thinking to do something similar for industries I work in, to use switchbox SEO. My question is, for client projects, what URLs you put behind your shortener? Also, what type of link building are you doing to strengthen your custom short domains? I don't do any link building specifically to strengthen the custom link shortener domain. But through the nature of building links through the shortened links, it's going to naturally power it up. And again, if you're in a single industry, then if you're always building links that are in the same topical category, you can push massive amounts of power into your own link shortening domain that is relevant. That's the point. Those of you that are Me Too agencies, generalists that will work with anybody that will talk to you, it's different. It's harder to do it that way because now you've got all different kinds of topical links coming into a link shortener. It's not as effective. It's way more effective when you're in a single industry, because then all of the relevance is in the same topic and it's much more powerful that way. So like tchq.link is mine. We've got one for semantic mastery. It's smshort.link. And I just use Pretty Links Pro, which is a WordPress plugin. But you can find AppSumo deals and things. Just keep in mind, guys, you got to be careful. Trust me. I just went through this. I bought an AppSumo deal for a link shortener and QR code generator on a lifetime deal like 3 years ago. And they stopped supporting it about 2 or 3 months ago. And I've got literally hundreds, if not thousands of QR codes out there on the web that are broken now. So don't go with something just because it's cheap. Like right now I use Sniply for like creating QR codes and stuff. And you can do shorteners through Sniply and things like that, but that has a monthly expense, but at least, it's going to be continued to be supported. So anyway,
Bradley, real quick, this came up today. I've got to say, speaking of AppSumo, we always talk about stuff like great deals, all of that. What you said, 100%. I just got an email. I feel I'm generally a pretty organized person. I think Bradley will agree to that, and like keeping track of stuff and keeping on top of things. I got an email from a client like, hey, Adam, are we all caught up on payments? I was like, what the hell? Like, what is he talking about? Went in, sure enough, he was a legacy client from AppSumo billing invoicing system I got like 6 years ago or something. I hadn't even thought about it. And they just shut down. Like, it was just gone. It was run through Stripe. It could have been transferred. And luckily it hasn't quite been 30 days, but I was just like, if this guy hadn't said anything, I would have just kept, assuming it had been paid because I never got anything about it. So yeah, be careful what you use.
Yeah. So if the short links go to the G site, et cetera, can we use GSA and the niche edits for the short links that go into the money site? No, man. Why would you do that? Don't spam your sites, Eric. So what I'm saying is, if you're using a link shortener, you got to treat whatever that's redirecting to, if you're redirecting to a money site, then the shortened link is a money site link. You have to treat it as such. And now if you can spam a G site, I don't recommend it. I don't do any kind of spam link building anymore. I've been talking about that for well over a year now. But yeah, point is keep it clean. If it's going to be your own domain that you're going to use to try to push power, niche it down in so that it's in the same kind of topical category, and then build links to it just like you normally would for clients and everything else. The point here is it's switchbox SEO. You can turn it on and off. You can remove the redirect or points the redirects elsewhere. So that way you can basically control where that link equity is going at any given time. Okay. I don't shorten like all links and everything. Like I said, I do it sometimes depending on what the situation is. So hopefully that's clear. I'm going to move on. Next one is from Earl. Hey guys, if something like Money Robot was used to make links only on high quality web 2.0 sites with good content, would it be safe to link to the money site? I guess. Again, I don't like to use spam links at all anymore. And you say high quality web 2.0 sites you can still do stuff with web 2s. We do it. It's more about the branding and interlinking entity assets and all of that. But if you're doing them properly, web 2 sites are still really good. They can be used for buffers and they can help to build authority, etc. So I don't like using those kind of tools, but I never have. So if you're proficient with it, perhaps. I just don't have any experience with doing it myself. So what are your thoughts on spam links, Patrick?
Sorry, I muted out. We're getting some background noise over here. I avoid spam links. I think that when we're competing locally, we can just stick to like really solid stuff, and that will be enough to push us over the edge. One of the ways that I don't know if you teach this in your group, Bradley, but we do link circles between our group members. So hey, we're all
exchanges.
Yeah, but we'll do it with like 5, 6, 7 people, so no one's linking, to kind of like
no reciprocals.
Exactly. So if you do your niche research correctly and you go into the right markets, you're going to be targeting lower hanging fruit. And then we don't have to mess around with things that are going to get us slapped one day. Right. And like, it just seems like spam is unnecessary.
And my point is, we're in the semantic web, like relevance is key for a backlink profile, either topical or geographic relevance or both when you're talking about local. Yep. And so it's important to, build relevance, and, web 2.0s, you can build relevance to them, but you can also, why not find links that are already relevant, already have topical relevance, et cetera. That's my point. I feel like that it's easier to get results with better, more relevant links than it is to try to force it through quantity. And I know you said not mass junk. I understand, but it's still not as effective. Remember, guys, the algorithm has shifted so much in the last 10 to 12 months. It's way different than it was a year or two ago. Relevance is key. So anyway, I'm going to move on. Ashwin says, hey, how would you approach monetizing about 100 strong general domains and quality content generation capabilities? What? How would you approach monetizing about 100 strong general domains and quality content generation capabilities? Thinking to offer a subscription service to do citations across my sites with description, video GMB, videos, GMB, and other info to help local ranking for clients. Do you think this is a good idea? And how would you price up? Also, is this something other agencies might want for their clients for white label SEO? I mean, Citation Vault is a service that does exactly what you're talking about. They have 300 domains that they basically create private citations. That's what they call it, is like basically private citations. There's a couple of other knockoffs or similar companies that do the same thing. I think Citation Vault was the first, and if they weren't the first, they're probably the most well-known. But go check it out, citationvault.com. You can see what I'm talking about. I use Citation Vault. It gives you, like I said, 300 private citations. I never point them to the money site, though, ever. You point them to the Google business website or the map share URL, because guys, it's a footprint. Trust me. It only takes a few clients for you to, for Google to recognize like what it is. And it's fine to point to Google properties because Google's not going to punish itself, but I don't point it to your money site. So you could do something like that. Again, I mean, there's always room for more is what I'm saying. So if Citation Vault can do it, and there are other competitors out there that have basically ripped them off and doing the same damn thing, you could do something similar, but you can make yours better. Like you said, having video options and things like that. I've not seen that yet. So there's some pretty interesting things that you could do there. I would study some of the competition and figure out how you can add your own unique mechanism to that kind of a service. That's what I would do. And what are your thoughts, guys? Any thoughts?
I want to know a little bit more about the domains and what those are. Are these like niche relevant? Are they geographically relevant? Because I think there is opportunities to improve the way this is done. As far as like the pricing goes, it's hard to put a price on something that we don't fully understand, right? Like what does it mean? What is it's kind of subjective. What is a strong domain? Is it 50 DR or is it 25? And like, are these all subdomains of a domain? Because I think is that how Citation Vault works? I'm not sure.
No, they're all unique domains, and they've done a really good job at like separating their IPs and data centers and stuff. So
I know Andy's really high level, the guy who runs this, and we've used them as well. But citations could be it could be backlinks, it could be a lot of different things depending on how that stuff is structured. I just feel like I don't have enough information to give a clean answer there.
Yeah, welcome to the world of Hump Day Hangouts, man. We get a lot of vague questions all the time, and it's hard to really provide a proper answer. And that's okay, though. We try. So Bruce comes up and says, hey, I'm in a super competitive niche, and even after lots of strong links, press releases, drive stacks, etc., I'm stuck on the bottom of page 1. I've maxed out on page and done some tiered linking. I heard somewhere that some sites hide strong links by cloaking behind redirects or something like that. Wondering what are some ways to leverage this and some other things I can do to push heaps of power and overtake my competitors. Tried getting PBNs to a cloud page, but didn't seem to do anything. Appreciate any help with this. I mean, if you're stuck at the bottom of page one and you keep trying different things, there's really only two things I can think of that, without, again, more details, more data, would be click-through rate manipulation or sending real traffic to it. It doesn't have to be manipulated traffic or spoofed traffic. It can be real traffic. So like even running ads, potentially Google ads. I mean that, like not search ads. You can do that, but that'd be stupid expensive. But like display ads, excuse me. If it's local, you can set geographic targeting to where the clicks that you're getting are local clicks. They're clicks from local, people that are geolocated and close physical proximity to the project. So I know that works, and I don't care what Google says. Google ads don't affect SEO. Bullshit. If you do it properly, you can move the needle with Google ads for local. You absolutely can. And I've proven that many times in our mastermind, done tests about it and shown the proof from that. So getting click-throughs, whether it's spoofed or buying real traffic, is one way to do it, because that can actually move the needle, right? You can move it several positions that way if Google sees that people are landing on the page and engaging, spending some time scrolling, etc. And you can spoof that with some apps and things like that too, but you can also do it with real traffic. Another thing would be, again, links. Trying really, you say lots of strong links, but how relevant are they? And I say that with all sincerity. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm saying, what is your idea of a strong link? Patrick just mentioned that previously. What is your idea of what is the definition of a strong domain? Are you talking about just purely third-party metrics? Like I said, I don't give a damn about third-party metrics anymore unless there's relevance. If I can prove that there's relevance, then those metrics come into play. And so what I'm saying, when you say strong links, is it relevant? I don't care what the DR is or the DA is. I don't care. Honestly, if it's not relevant, then it's not, none of that matters anymore. So I'm just curious, like, again, strong links that are relevant, that's going to help. Traffic signals will help too. And so those are kind of two things that I would do. What are your thoughts?
So here's what I've learned by looking at a lot of the way people analyze this stuff. Did you ever see this quote by Rand Fishkin where he's like, that graph, maybe you could even pull it up, where it's like the short tail versus the long tail graph, where Rand Fishkin basically said that if the short tail words were a lizard, its head would be 1 inch tall and its tail would be 220 miles long, right? A lot of times what we do is we try to fight over what everyone else is fighting over. And when you're in these super competitive niches, most of the terms are in the tail. They're not in the head. So what I would say is, like, what are this like 70, whatever these 80, 90%, even more of the words that are in that competitive niche that no one is going after. These short tail terms, a lot of times, imagine you're in the legal niche, or imagine you're in concrete and you search for, like, hey, I'm really trying to go after concrete driveway. But there's, like, as marketers and lead generators, we think that every time someone types in concrete driveway that they're looking for this contractor, but they're not. That's just where our mind is all the time. As you get into these terms that are 3 or 4 words long, the buyer intent goes way up. Like, imagine that same term is concrete driveway contractor, Dallas, Texas. That has a ton of buyer intent. Can we collect a ton of these? Because with the tail being that much longer than the head, there's so many opportunities that are low-hanging fruit that maybe we don't have to, like, fight over these, like, short tail, and maybe you're not even going after all the short tail stuff. Maybe you're going after the long tail stuff, but there are tons of gems that no one is targeting, that no one has written pages on. So whenever I'm in a competitive niche, that's the spot that we can get leads coming in a few weeks if we go after some of those terms, right? So I think it's a fantastic opportunity, and I think it's completely overlooked, and I think people completely misunderstand the math on the way that the search term distribution works. Like, there's so, I don't know, Bradley, do you look at things this way? What are your thoughts on that piece?
Well, no, I agree. And I mean, building topical authority too, that will help. And that's what essentially that's.
Yeah. You're chipping away at the short term while targeting the long term.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, again, that's kind of a relatively newer term for something that we've been doing for years anyways, which is building supporting content to a top level term. So that's like silo structure. Again, take top level term, that's the top of silo page, create a category, and then you nest content with supporting content underneath where you're targeting the long tail, and all of that builds relevance to that top level page. That's called building topical authority now. Now that we're in the semantic web, it's just kind of changed the term. It's essentially the same damn thing. What you got to be careful about though is targeting too similar of keywords or variants of the primary keyword, because that can cause cannibalization. And that is one of the biggest issues I've been seeing for months now. It's been slightly dialed back in the last few weeks since I think the last algorithm update. I've seen a less of an impact of cannibalization as I have for the last like 6 or 8 months, but it's still a concern. And I don't know if that's just a temporary dial back of the algorithm by Google, or if it's going to, so it might come back with a vengeance. I don't know, but I would still caution about trying to create supporting content with the title of the page being too similar to the top level term. In the past, again, prior to this kind of shift in the algorithm, we would just take the top level term and create top of silo page and then all the long tail keywords and just create supporting content within that same category. That would work. But now it's if it's considered a variant of the same keyword, then that's cannibalization potential. Google says, okay, well, there's pages on here that are targeting keywords within the same topic. And so since they're both pages that are targeting keywords within the same topic that are somewhat synonymous with each other, we're going to demote both of them because we don't know which one should be prioritized. So you got to be careful about that, but that is something else that you can do, is build topical authority, which can help move the needle too. So we're going to run out of time. I got 5 more minutes. Quinn says, hey guys, I have an agency and work remote, so can service my whole country. I have a primary Google business with reviews and have the service area to whole country. I rank in my main city, but wanting to expand and rank in other areas. I have secured 3 more GMBs as service areas for my agency with address I have access to. What's the ideal schema setup for this? At the moment, I have organization schema on the homepage with all profiles, but not location specific. Then underneath it in Elementor, I have blocks with other GMBs embedded. And okay, so that's a bit of a technical question, but first of all, I recommend, guys, organization schema. There's a subset called corporation. It's a more specific subtype of organization schema that is more appropriate for a for-profit business. I see organization schema all the time. You can use it, but that's more for nonprofits and for like associations and, things like that. Corporation is more appropriate for a for-profit business, which is a subtype of organization. Okay. But you can also reference the local business locations within corporation schema or organization schema. But on each location page, that's where you would have local business schema with the appropriate subtype for that. That makes sense. And then you have to connect the data items properly. What I don't recommend is if you have like one page where you have all of that, I think you said embedded local business schema for each map. If it's separate location pages for each location, that's fine. But you don't want to put all that stuff on one page, because then Google says, well, what the hell is this page about? Right? When you have multiple instances of schema that are, especially, first of all, if you have multiple instances of schema on a page that aren't connected properly, connected data items, connected schema, nested schema, there's another number of terms for it. They all mean basically the same thing. But if they're not connected properly, it makes it hard for Google to determine what is the main entity of this page when there's multiple instances that aren't connected. But when connected properly, or if you designate main entity of page, then you can tell Google, okay, there's different elements that are marked up on this page, but this is the main entity of this page. That makes sense. And there is a main entity of page attribute. So you can actually assign that. So again, I would recommend corporation schema, a subtype of organization on the homepage that references each of the locations, and each location page would have local business schema with the appropriate subtype. And you can flesh that out very thoroughly using like same as and knows about, area served, all of these other types of attributes that flesh out and add a lot more detail to the schema. If that's clear. I'm going to keep rolling, guys, just because I've only got a couple minutes left. So I hope you guys are all right with that. Next one is, hey guys, helping. It's from Adam from Texas. Hey guys, helping a large company with PPC and looking to take over SEO. So they are looking to rebrand and spinning off their website to reorganize the brand. Okay. They have an in-house web guy who is building the site, but from what I can see, it will be a disaster for SEO and will cause heaps of damage. Okay. How would you approach politely taking control to ensure that the client knows you have their interest Without being disrespectful, my concern is all the hard work will be lost with a poor rebuild and also impact the effectiveness of anything I do. Yeah, just have an honest discussion with him about it. I've got a client, there's a link building client, but he's asked me to do some on-page stuff for him, and I've tried to, but he has a webmaster. It's a site built in Joomla, and I don't do anything in Joomla anyways. I have no desire to do it. So I provided instructions like, hey, this is what needs to be done. He sent it to his webmaster, and his webmaster argued with him. And he came back to me and said, well, he says he doesn't want to. I said, who's fucking paying him? Right? Like, who's the boss here? Are you paying him or is he paying you? Like, which is it? If you're paying him, you should tell him, hey, look, it's my site. This is what I want done. But, I get it. It's stepping in, you're dipping your toes in somebody else's pool. I understand. But the thing is, if he's the client and he's paying his webmaster, the client is always right. It's client's money, in my opinion. So I had that conversation with the client. I just said, look, it's your project, man. I'm telling you, this is what needs to be done. If your webmaster is going to fight you, I'd fire his ass. That's what I would do personally, because like, hey, man, but because his webmaster doesn't have his best interest in heart, obviously. But, again, you just have to have that conversation with the client and just, don't be a dick about it, but just say, hey, listen, I'm trying to, if we don't work together, or if we try to do it this way, it's going to create a mess, which is going to hurt your business, your bottom line. I'm trying to prevent that. This is what I suggest. Just be honest. That's my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I think part of being a professional is being able to have those conversations. Yeah. And I think the tone of what you deliver the message in is a lot of times how the message is received. So if you can deliver it in a way where you're really conveying that you have their best interest, this is what you have to do. And part of this means being integrity, right? Like, we got to have the hard conversations when they're necessary. So
that's right.
Yeah, 100%. But I want to make sure that you get through your questions. So I'll keep that brief.
Yeah, well, we're actually out of time, and I have to run today, guys, because I have another appointment I got to run to. So I'm sorry, guys, we missed a few questions, but we had a guest today, so it is what it is. What I'll do is I'll highlight the row where we left off, and I'll pick back up on these questions next week, guys. So we're starting with Adam from Texas, and I'm going to delete this one that just is weird. But thanks everybody for being here, and sorry that we didn't get to all the questions this time, but we will next time, so no worries. And thank you, Patrick, for joining us today, guys. Go check out the LeadSnap event, and I'll ping you afterwards, Patrick, just to follow up with you. Okay,
cool, man. Thanks for the opportunity, and great to connect with everyone. I hope you guys got some value from us today.
All right, guys. Thanks, everybody.